Okay, so I want to speak about a situation in Pakistan that I think is very topical and very important. Um, Recently, the killer of Governor Salmaan Taseer was executed in Rawalpindi. Give you a bit of background if you're not familiar with the case. Governor Salmaan Taseer had spoken out against the country's notorious blasphemy laws. Um, and for this brave act of principle, he lost his life. The cruel irony is that the killer was one of his very own bodyguards, which actually harks back to Indira Gandhi's assassination. Anyway, this guy who killed him, um, Qadri Mumtaz Qadri, I can't remember which, I don't know which is the family name, but basically the killer was executed a few days ago in Rawalpindi. 100,000 of his supporters came out. There's widespread support in Pakistan for this guy, and there's been media blackouts around the event, and the country is on a high state of alert. Why? Because this callous killer, this thug who murdered this man, enjoys widespread support. A lot of people actually see him as a national hero. Now, this is an ideology that cannot be ignored. And the thing about this case is it demonstrates that there is something that goes beyond just condemning terrorism. Because if contrast this with the atrocity, also in Rawalpindi, I believe, of those children killed by the Taliban, that was universally condemned and rightfully so. It was widely condemned in Pakistan. It was a brutal, cowardly, callous terrorist act. And yet, I have no doubt that some of the people who condemned that probably justified the murder, the violent murder of Salman Taseer. And in this lies a real contradiction. That is to say that within theocracies like Pakistan, and I don't care if it's not formally a theocracy, that's essentially what it is, um, there is unquestionably a religious fanaticism that is deeply embedded in culture. This is simply irrefutable because it's not just a few extremists support this assassin. 100,000 people attended his funeral. 100,000 people. And I have no doubt across Pakistan he enjoys support of probably millions of people. That's deeply disturbing. It's deeply disturbing that so many people can have such a regressive mindset that they believe a man should be murdered simply for condemning a law that is so brutal and so restrictive. There's similarities in other parts of the world. There can be some comparisons. In Thailand, people have been murdered for their opposition to the lèse majesté law, um, which is not quite a blasphemy law insofar as it's not based on religion, although it is designed to supposedly protect the king. Um, the thing about Governor Taseer was he wasn't actually committing blasphemy himself, although that's open to interpretation what blasphemy is. That's actually why the whole concept of a blasphemy law is so dangerous. Because just like the lèse majesté law in Thailand, it's vague. Anyway, there's no. I haven't seen that there is any top clerics in Pakistan actually defining how blasphemy is defined, so it can be so clearly thrown around. Within a very ultra conservative Islamic community, if you're accused of blasphemy, it's tantamount to a death sentence. And there are some Islamic majority countries where being an atheist, for example Saudi Arabia, will result in death. Pakistan to me is a country that, and I always be careful when I'm talking about any country, because I'm aware that there are 180 million people in Pakistan, and I have no intention of offending, an entire nation. But this is the thing, I refuse to believe that all Pakistanis are brainwashed religious fanatics. I'm well aware that there are many, many decent, moderate Pakistanis who know this is regressive, and they're not necessarily in a position where they could freely speak out. So in a sense, I'm doing what is easy for me to do. I'll probably get angry nationalistic comments here, calling me all sorts of names and saying, "Oh, you Americans done this." I'm not American, or "You British done that." But the point is, that's just a cowardly excuse to try and detract from the original criticism. Okay, so if you're going to come on this video, stick to the issue at hand. Don't try to change the subject. And my message to Islamist shitheads who want to come on this video and justify this, I don't really care if I offend you people. As far as I'm concerned, it's it's perverse that you're using the internet, that you have access to the internet, but you have a caveman mentality, which you do. Governor Taseer was far, far, far braver than the callous coward who killed him, far, far, far braver than the 100,000 fanatics who went out to praise this coward. Salmaan Taseer will live on for eternity to those of us who believe in human rights and common bloody sense. So this case I remember it made me very angry at the time, and it makes me angry today thinking about it. But sadly, this probably won't be the last time that someone brave enough to speak out against the blasphemy law pays with their life. And we're seeing similar things in other countries, and in Bangladesh, a number of bloggers and writers have been murdered in recent years um, over reformist or liberal blogs. Um, so there is unquestionably a direct link in many Islamic countries between this sort of regressive mentality and violence. There's no question about it. And it's no good these people coming out with statements like, "Oh, Islam is all about peace, we condemn terrorism," and the very same people have no problem with the terrorism against anyone who speaks out against blasphemy laws. I mean, what happened to Governor Taseer was an assassination, but it was a terrorist act. So to me, there's utter hypocrisy in their position. And it makes me very angry. And what what is frustrating is that Pakistan is a country that has so many problems: corruption, poverty, serious poverty, natural disasters, and these people believe that the priority is in defending regressive blasphemy laws. They cannot fathom that it is this sort of mentality that is holding Pakistan back. Sometimes in this world, speaking up for justice, and I'm not talking about myself here because what I'm doing is easy. I'm talking about those brave people, those brave Pakistanis who are speaking out. They have my unswerving respect because what they are doing, not only is it incredibly brave, and they probably just see it as a necessity. These people are humble. They wouldn't see themselves as heroes, but to those of us who believe in liberty, that's what they are. And fighting against a regressive mentality, fighting against injustice, the first step is changing public mind. You can get any fanatic, but fanatics, when they have a base of support, that's the problem. And when you have, Pakistan's blasphemy laws are regressive. There's no question about that. And I know people will come on and say, "Oh, there's cultural differences that you have to respect." But this is the thing. If it really is about cultural differences, how can you explain the fact that there are millions of other Pakistanis who want these laws abolished, who know that they're regressive, and who are trying to do something about it? Certainly in Karachi, I imagine there would be a lot of people who know this is regressive. I accept that Pakistan is a very, very conservative society. What I don't accept, and this is the wider issue of sovereignty, what I don't accept is that just because a country is sovereign, that outsiders can't have an opinion on it. I believe it is my responsibility to speak out in support. My responsibility as a human being to speak out in support of Pakistanis who want to change this. So I'm not necessarily going to tell Pakistan what to do. That wouldn't be my place. But I will support Pakistanis who want to change this because I believe it needs to be changed. The blasphemy law is a black law insofar as, in fact, there's a Facebook group for that. I support that group because they recognise this as regressive and they're trying to do something about it. It's a black law insofar as it is used as a weapon. Personally, I don't think there should be any blasphemy laws anywhere in the world in the 21st century. But, that's maybe a bit naive because when you're going up against the power of organized religion, this is why I am very uncomfortable with organized religion because then you start getting into the state where these things are enacted. And to be clear, I'm just as critical of of Christian theocracy because then you would get into a situation where being gay can get you killed. So, there is some real issues going on here, and all I can say is it's tragic that a country like Pakistan, which has so much potential, Pakistan's a beautiful country. It's a country with so much potential that it's held back by this regressive caveman mentality. Even if you believe in the blasphemy laws, to actually justify murder as a result is beyond me. So, if some people choose to be offended by this video, it's entirely their own fault. Anyone with their head screwed on properly will realize what it's all about. This is not an attack on Pakistan. What I am saying is these laws hold Pakistan back. That's factually true. It's just tragic that it's come to this point. Should this killer have been executed? I think perhaps no, not because I think he deserves it, 100%. But I don't think he should have been executed simply because it's led to this martyrization. I think it would be much better to let him throw him in a jail and let him be forgotten. When the problem then is his fanatical followers would probably try to, blow up the jail or something to release him. Um, but I think he'd be less of a martyr by being in jail than by being executed. This is one of those occasions. I'm against the death penalty, but on this occasion I have no problem with this fanatic being killed. And it also says something about the situation in Pakistan that the government itself is not as neoconservative and as extreme as some hardliners within the country. So it's a complex situation, but I believe that there is a black and white in terms of the fact this man was murdered simply for opposing a regressive law, and that's abhorrent. Um, and the international community should be putting pressure on Pakistan to abolish its blasphemy laws because that's why this man died. It's abhorrent.